Just to start with, your first impressions of the club so far since you've been here?
It's been very good, very professional. The players we've worked with over these last couple of weeks have really been an inspiration to the club. Really, behind the scenes is really good. Very, very organised, as you would expect of a professional football club. So yeah, my first impressions have been very, very good.
You've obviously met the players. You've spoken now about you being impressed with them. Is that just with their attitude towards training, or is it also their skill levels and their fitness levels as well?
I think it's a mixture of everything. I think they've applied themselves really, really well. Their application has been first class. There's no complaints. They've all came back fairly fit. They've obviously stuck to their regime of the close season programme. We did a lot of high intensity work with them last week, and the players performed that really, really well. The final session we did on the Friday was a track session, and I was very, very surprised that they all managed to complete it with very, very little recovery time. I was very, very impressed for this level of football. It was very good. Give
us an idea about this week, because it's obviously, shall we say, the first proper week of pre-season, and well, in terms of our point of view, there's a game involved at the end of it this week against Sheffield United. What will you be focusing on this week going into that game? And the game's not about result, is it? It's about performance, getting miles in the leg, arguably.
Yeah, and also to see obviously the new players that we brought in, to gel them in with the older players. I don't mean older in terms of age, but the players that have been here some time. So basically, it'll be the first part of the week will be lots of football, morning and afternoon sessions, and then towards the end of the week, probably Wednesday onwards, we'll look at doing some shape, some functional plays, some set pieces, and hopefully, fit the right people into the right slots, and then have a look at them when we play Sheffield United on Saturday.
This was a game, say, in October, November time. We'd be getting very excited about Sheffield United arriving at Field Mill. It's a pre-season. It's a game obviously you'd want to win anyway. But just how important is the performance and getting those shapes and patterns right, and like you said, making an evaluation about those players, and in particular what Sheffield United will bring to Field Mill this weekend?
Well, I think really the most important thing is if we don't look at Sheffield United, we look at Mansfield Town Football Club. We've got the gaffer and I, all the work we've done so far. We hopefully we'll sort of see what's going to come out on the Saturday against Sheffield United. So really, it is early days. We have started quite early. So we're just really looking to see that what we instruct the players to do, that they'll go on and do. We need to obviously look at all the new players and hopefully give everybody at least 40 odd minutes on the pitch on Saturday, and to get an indication of are they going to fit in, and I'm sure they will, because the gaffer will sign the right type of player. He can spot a player, so I'm sure it'll be okay.
I want to come on to departures and the comings and goings at Field Mill now. Jake Spate leaving Field Mill last week. What's been the mood in the camp regarding Jake Spate's exit from this club? Because if players and coaches alike read newspaper columns, it wasn't the happiest of endings to the relationship between the player and the club.
Bearing in mind I've only just come to the club myself, all I can say is that no one knew of Jake Spate probably a couple of years ago, so he was a good find, and I think the gaffer did really well to actually to find a player of his ability, and obviously he nurtured him, and I'm sure the gaffer would want to work with him again in the future. But it's unfortunate that happens in football. Jake's moved on, and I wish Jake and his family all the best, and hopefully he'll carry on and keep scoring goals as he did for Mansfield Town.
Have you ever known a player threaten to go on strike if he wasn't allowed to leave the club he was currently at?
No, I've never heard of that before, no.
Well, that's what allegedly Jake threatened to do right. if he went on strike. You've obviously vastly experienced in the game of football, Duncan. How would you react to the news of that?
Well, I don't think if that was Jake's decision, or he's been an agent's decision, I think it'd be the wrong decision. I don't think players should be threatening things like that. There is no need for that. You can always come to compromise, and I would say that perhaps that's it could be a lack of experience on Jake's part. Really, I think it's probably just a knee-jerk reaction because obviously, for whatever reason, he didn't come to a compromise with the club on leaving initially, and I think Jake will look back and reflect, think that's probably the wrong thing to say.
You've worked up and down the Football League structure in England. What would you make of player power in regard to dealings with the club? Do you think it's an issue now within the game, even at the Blue Square level? Do you think players are becoming more and more powerful and it's what the player wants, the player gets?
I don't. I think it's the way they're managed. I really do. I think if you manage players correctly, you treat them, you treat them with respect, and you have this human factor about you. I don't think you'll ever have a problem with players. I don't really think there is player power. It's about managing people correctly, and if you manage people correctly, you won't come across that problem.
You may be new to the club, Duncan. I'm just trying to ask your opinion on the feeling the Mansfield Town fans have got across about Jake Spate's departure. They seem to be a little bit angry regarding Jake Spate's wage demands. David Holdsworth has nurtured him, brought him on, trusted him in terms of bringing him through the dark times when he was injured, and yet Jake Spate turns around and demands higher wages, especially at a time when supporters out there are fearing for their jobs. Can you understand why they might be feeling angry and aggrieved that Jake Spate's sort of come out and said the things he said and done the actions that he's done?
It's difficult. It's difficult for me to quote on that because obviously I don't know exactly what Jake has said and hasn't said. All I can say is that the fans have a right, and quite rightly so. Jake obviously came to this football club. He scored a lot of goals. Bright future. But things didn't work out. But that happens in football all the time. Whether it's in this league or the Premiership or the Championship, I've seen it time and time again. Sometimes you've got to part ways, and I'm afraid that's what's happened with Jake in this football club.
Let's move on. It's a case of replacing Jake and Kyle Perry as well. We've not mentioned Kyle as well. You haven't had a chance, I imagine, to work with Kyle much. But just in terms of where the gap is at the minute, do you think Mansfield Town fans can expect replacements to be signed soon, especially up front? Yeah,
most definitely. I mean, hence the reason why I'm doing the report this morning with you, because the gaffer's busy doing what he's doing. The gaffer's on it 24/7. I mean, I got a text message at a voicemail at 1:45 this morning. I'm not sure whether he's come back to our time or he's still working in American time. He's on holiday, but yeah, the gaffer's at it all the time. He's looking for the right type of player to bring into the football club. It's not about just replacing a player per se. You've got to bring people in that are going to gel with the club. The background's good. They have sound character and that type of thing. And that's what the gaffer does, and he does it tirelessly. So I'm sure we will replace the players that have left Field Mill.
Obviously, up front is an area where the club needs to strengthen. In your opinion, Duncan, where else do you think the club could do with signing one, maybe two more players?
I think we've got a great balance at the moment. I mean, bearing in mind, we've not had an 11v11 game yet. I mean, I'll have a better idea when I see them against Sheffield United on Saturday. But what I've seen of them so far, I think we've got all around the pitch. We've got the right people in the right slots, and we've got people to replace them in those slots as well. I've been really impressed with them. But again, you can always add to the squad. And I'm sure that's what the gaffer will do. He'll bring in the right type of people to enhance this football club and hopefully get us back into the Football League.
Reports suggesting today that you've been connected with Danny Mitchell and John Leo. They've been offered trials with Mansfield Town. Have you had a chance to deal with those two individuals yet?
No, not at all. No, again, like I'll be speaking to, when I finish this, I'll be on the telephone to the gaffer because we've got a couple of players coming in again this morning. We're having a look at, and they're going to join us for training. So I can sort of let you, or the gaffer will let you know, probably in the next couple of days, obviously, what